Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to take you from being a passive victim of those soul-crushing endless meetings and turn you into an empowered facilitator. If you've ever sat through a gathering that felt like a complete and utter waste of your valuable time, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're taking a deep dive into a really simple yet incredibly powerful document that basically dictates whether a meeting succeeds or completely fails, the agenda.
To respect your time and keep us perfectly on track today, here's our own agenda for this explainer. We'll be hitting the meeting roadmap, the 4 key questions, the anatomy of an agenda, structuring the flow, vague versus specific items, and finally, what needs to happen before the meeting starts.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the meeting roadmap.
Look, we've all been there, right? Have you ever been in a quick 30-minute sync that painfully stretched to an hour just because someone hijacked the conversation to talk about something completely unrelated? It's incredibly frustrating. You're sitting there, staring at the clock, mentally calculating how much collective time is just going down the drain. Without a solid plan, people show up completely unprepared, conversations wander completely off topic, the meeting drags on, and worse, you all walk out having decided absolutely nothing. This scenario plays out every single day in schools, clubs, and corporate boardrooms. But, thankfully, there is a cure for this chaos. The solution is an agenda. It acts exactly like a GPS or a map to your destination. As our source material points out, you could try driving somewhere brand new without directions and just cross your fingers that you end up in the right place. But what usually happens? You waste time, you take a bunch of wrong turns, and you arrive late, if you arrive at all. An agenda is simply a written outline of topics to be discussed, complete with time allocations and expected outcomes. And those two elements, the time allocations and the expected outcomes, those are your secret weapons. It's the definitive map that keeps your entire group on course.
Moving right along to section 2, the 4 key questions.
So by answering these 4 specific questions, what will we discuss? Who needs to be there? How long will it take? And what's the outcome? Your agenda does 3 massive things. It provides focus, allows for preparation, and creates accountability. It provides focus by telling everyone exactly what's on the table, and honestly, what's not on the table. If it's not on the list, it doesn't belong in the meeting, period. It also allows for preparation because when people know the topics in advance, they can actually gather their thoughts. Have you ever been ambushed with a major decision with 0 time to prepare? It leads to anxiety and poor rushed decisions. Getting topics in advance eliminates that surprise. And finally, by spelling out exactly how long each topic will take and what the outcome should be, it builds in a really firm sense of accountability.
Okay, section 3, anatomy of an agenda. Let's break this down.
A truly professional agenda brings together a few essential elements that clearly define the boundaries of your meeting. You need a specific meeting title, so not just the word meeting, but something actionable, like weekly team check-in. You need the date, the start time, and, crucially, an end time. A strict end time signals to everyone that you actually respect their schedule. You also need the location, a clear list of attendees, your specific agenda items, and any preparation notes. Those prep notes are absolutely vital because they ensure nobody spends the first 15 minutes of your meeting quietly reading a document they should have reviewed yesterday.
Now, what about the facilitator? Well, they are your driver on this journey. This is the person leading the charge, keeping discussions on track, and making sure the agenda is actually followed. Armed with an agenda that has clear time blocks, the facilitator suddenly gets the psychological permission and the power they need to confidently say, hey, we need to move on to the next topic. It sounds firm, but it's polite. Without that printed document, the facilitator really has no objective way to cut off a rambling discussion without seeming like a jerk. The agenda gets to play the bad guy, so the facilitator doesn't have to.
Which brings us to section 4, structuring the flow.
So a formal meeting actually follows a highly effective chronological flow. You kick off with a call to order. Then you tackle old business, basically following up on things from the last time you met. Then comes the new business. And here is a massive takeaway from our source text. You should always place your most important, complex new business items early in the meeting. This combats decision fatigue. Think about it. Our brains have limited cognitive bandwidth each day. If you bury a crucial strategic decision at the very end of a long, exhausting meeting, people are just going to agree to anything just to get out of the room. Tackle the heavy stuff while everyone's brains are fresh, and save the easy informational announcements for the very end.
As you're navigating through that new business, you're inevitably going to generate action items. And listen, an action item is not just some vague idea that the team should probably look into something. No way. It's a specific task assigned to a specific person with a specific deadline. So instead of saying, we need to research new software, a real action item is, David is going to research 3 software options and present them by Tuesday. These deliverables demand accountability, and they instantly become the old business you're going to follow up on at the very next meeting.
Section 5. Vague versus specific.
The contrast between a bad agenda and a great one is just night and day. Vague agenda items literally lead to vague meetings. If you just jot down a single word like fundraiser, nobody knows what specifically is being discussed, who's leading it, or what decision even needs to be made. People just show up and talk in circles. But contrast that with a specific item like, decide on fundraiser type, bake sale versus car wash, 10 minutes, led by Maria, decision needed. Wow, a specific item like that tells everyone exactly what to prepare and what outcome is expected. It leaves absolutely zero room for confusion.
Okay, speaking of vague, we have to talk about the absolute most dangerous word you can possibly put on an agenda. Please, never use the word other. The word other is basically an open invitation for a 20-minute tangent about the office coffee machine. It's a trap. It actively destroys the very focus the document is supposed to provide. It welcomes anyone to hijack the meeting and bring up anything they want, sending you right back into that frustrating, endless meeting drift.
Take a model agenda for Environmental Club, for example. When done right, everything perfectly aligns. The time allocated, the specific topic, the lead person, and the expected outcome are all completely transparent. Like if at 3:30 they have 15 minutes to choose a spring community service project, the outcome is clearly marked as a decision, not just a casual chat, a decision. That level of clarity, that's a masterclass in setting up a meeting for absolute success.
And finally, Section 6. Before the meeting starts.
Look, a beautifully crafted agenda is totally useless if nobody actually sees it until they pull up a chair at the conference table. To actually reap the benefits of preparation, you have to distribute the final agenda to all attendees about 24 to 48 hours in advance. That is the magical window. It gives people enough time to actually read the attachments and prep their thoughts, without sending it so far out that it just gets buried and forgotten in their inbox. Oh, and if you have recurring meetings, just use a standard template and update the items each week. It saves you tons of time while keeping expectations crystal clear.
By enforcing focus, demanding preparation, and establishing real accountability, the agenda is basically your ultimate tool for turning wasted time into productive action. It protects your team's energy and makes sure every minute you spend together actually moves the needle. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought to consider before you send out your next calendar invite. Are you driving your next meeting with a clear map, or are you just hoping you end up in the right place? Start using specific, well-structured agendas and watch your meetings completely transform. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.